week 4 for the skill builders. This week is our patches week. So we're going to be stitching up this week's project together, which is the Go Climb a Cactus patch. I've got the design loaded to my machine. So with patches, I have found that really the key to kind of getting the results that you want is going to be finding your best mix of materials. For me, that is Badge Master Heavy Water Soluble Stabilizer. This is my favorite for patches. I actually use it on stuffies too because it gives that stabilization that you would find with a cutaway, but it also ends up tearing away, or you can throw it in the washing machine and it'll wash away as well. So this is also great for freestanding lace. Anything where you want to be able to remove that stabilizer in its entirety from your design um, when you're finished with it. So that's my preferred stabilizer. Um, the other option you have is if you've got like the mesh type water soluble topper. I think I talked in our last video, the one before, about kind of different options for water soluble stabilizer. You could do 2 layers of that as well. Some people like cutaway. The issue with using cutaway for patches is what's going to happen is ultimately you're going to have here on the side of your patch, you're going to be able to see that cutaway. Now you could use a lighter or like a heat knife to kind of burn that extra stabilizer away, but that's just an extra step. And I don't trust myself to not burn any of the threads and melt it. So this is just my preferred stabilizer for this. You could use tearaway in a pinch, but you would need several layers of tearaway really, because you just have to worry about the density of this satin and these stitches here perforating your tearaway. So that's the kind of consideration with that. I know Badge Master can be kind of hard for some people to. Why is my phone being weird? For some people to. Why is this not popping up? Sorry. I'm pulling this on my iPad so I can see everything as well too. Okay. All right. The only thing, where was I at with that? I lost my train of thought altogether. Sorry, it's Sunday. It's daylight saving times first, and my brain's kind of gone. Forget what I was even saying with that. So I'm going to keep moving on. The second thing is going to be the material that you use. I like to use patch twill, which is kind of a really stiff. It's got a little bit of texture to it. It comes in all kinds of colors, which isn't that important for patches unless you're production making patches. With all of my patches, you can omit the background fill, which is the second step on the patches. It takes the bulk of the time for patches. That part on my machine, it's 25 minutes to stitch at the background fill. And that's because you can stitch over any color, and to get that true, like everything's embroidered, everything's consistent, that's that background fill. But if you don't want to go through all that, you want to be a little faster, you're going to make more of these to sell, you could get some twill, patch twill, in any color that you want. Skip that step where you would just now see the material behind. So just keep that in mind. That's an option too. I hear a lot, patches take so long. That's how you can make them go a little faster. If you just want to omit that background fill altogether, it's going to take half the time out for your stitches for that. Some people like to use felt. I have personally not had a lot of luck with felt. However, I think almost every single one of my testers uses felt with their patch designs. So a lot of the patch pictures you see on the website that I have are actually stitched on felt. It's just for me, I feel like I haven't gotten that right kind of like combination of different materials with the felt. So for me, patch twill is what I prefer. So that's my recommendation, but that doesn't mean that you can't use felt. If you are using felt, my recommendation would be to get the heavy wool felt, not this like thin, cheap, like floppy kind of craft felt that you can really see through. What's going to happen, especially depending on your stabilizer you're using, is this isn't a very dense material, and it has a tendency to kind of get pulled and stretched, which when you're stitching out a heavy fill area, especially if you don't have the heavy stabilizer to match up, that's going to distort this. So it'll look stretched out. It'll look, when you get to the final end of the patch, it'll look like it's been offset a little bit. So that's just my kind of spiel about felt. But I know people use it all the time and have success. So if that's all you can access, go for it and try it. Just make sure that you're really backing up with your stabilizer and that you're choosing not like the dollar store kind of cheap craft felt. You want that thicker wool felt. And some people have used denim too, as a backing material for the patches. So that's totally okay too. You might need to play with depending on what materials you can get your hands on, especially if you don't order online. You might have to play with it a little bit, but there's not like a one right answer for patches about the best materials. I'm just telling you what's worked for me. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and rock and roll forward. I do have the Badge Masters in my hoop already. I have the speed on my machine scaled down to about 400 stitches per minute. I'm going to bump it up a little bit when we do the background fill, just so we're not here quite as long watching it stitch out, because that's going to get real boring at that. Like the second step is going to get real boring. In fact, I'm going to start now while I keep talking. I could have been stitching it already and then gone back, but I digress. So we're doing our first step right on our stabilizer. If you are stitching this right before we started this live, I found a small error in this patch, which I will update and I will fix. It's not going to affect your stitch out. Um, I have, for the one that's on the website in your accounts, this very first step here, I have the wrong stitch type assigned to it. So it's just a little heavier and goes around too much. It's not going to affect anything in the end. It's just going to be annoying. So I will fix that and get that updated to you as well. But just as a heads up, if you're stitching along and you see, well, my gosh, my first step is stitching around like 3 times. Yeah, I messed that up and I will get that fixed tomorrow and updated, but it's not going to affect your ability to make that tonight. All right, so I've got my patch tool down, making sure that it's covering up all of my stitching from step one. And I'm going to bump my speed up just a little bit on this background fill. I typically keep my stitching speed down around 400. I just find that, I know I've harped on this before too, a lot of like these domestic embroidery machines, not like the commercial equipped multi-needle machines that some people have, um, with single needles, when you have the higher stitch set, like if mine goes to like 1,000 or I think even faster than that, the faster it's stitching, it's creating more heat, more friction. You're more likely to get thread breaks, uneven skip stitches, and just the quality is going to kind of take a hit. It's most noticeable for me on areas of satin, which is that edge around here. So that's kind of the important thing too. And also small areas can kind of get stitched kind of icky the faster you go. But I am going to turn this down or turn this up just a little bit, so we're not here for an hour while this stitches just the background fill. So I'm going to bump my speed up to 600 and that'll help a little bit. But I'll bump it back down before we're done. And like I said, if this is your first patch, you're stitching at home, you don't care if you can see this background color, you can skip this step to this background fill. And if I personally were making to sell, that's what I would do. Or I would make sure that I'm charging the adequate prices for the patches, if not, because I mean, this is like 20,000 stitches. That's a lot of time and energy on your part, too. So just keep that in mind. And I hope this morning, if you do daylight savings time, I hope that this morning wasn't too terribly rough for you. I was still up at like 7 o'clock, which was ridiculous. I wanted to sleep in. And then next week, we're doing sleep masks, which I have that file in your account already. So be ready for that. And that'll be a much quicker stitch up. And out of all the designs that we are going to do during the skill wear, the patches do take the longest time. It's honestly so little hands-on time, which is nice. But it just takes a while to stitch. In this design, I know in previous skill builders, I've kind of done simpler patches with fewer color changes, but this one I wanted to kind of do one with a few more, especially if you're familiar with patches, and also like kind of how I trim jump stitches between small areas. There's a few small jumps in here you'll see when we get to stitching on his little face and the little needles. So I wanted to make sure that I include those to show you how I kind of get those small areas out. Hi, Regina. We're on the most boring step, just watching the background stitch. So this is probably the most boring part. Which the nice thing about patches though too, since they are a little hands off and they take so long to stitch, you can just you can set it up, and as long as you're, I never like to leave my machines totally unattended because I don't trust them. Because the second I do, they're going to eat something or the thread's going to nuts. But I can hear it kind of going, so I can be doing something else and running a patch. And honestly, if you're not skipping that background fill, as you can see as this fills in, it doesn't matter what color you're going to use because that whole color is going to be covered up by the stitches. And I do like this patch fill that I use. I think I get it from Sew for Less, but Amazon has it too. And it's just poly patch fill. And it comes in a bunch of different colors. And it's like, I want to say the pack of, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 sheets is like $30, which sounds kind of pricey. But honestly, like they last forever because patches are only 3 or 4 inches. You did a sleep study on daylight savings, Regina? That's terrible. Please tell me you don't celebrate day like to celebrate like it's a holiday, but you don't have daylight savings where you are. Because that's like way worse than a daylight saving weekend. And we were out for a while last night. Like a friend of ours, we went up to watch some live music. And I think we got home around 1. And I was out pretty quick, but I think I got up around 7. But that's way better than 4:30. Oh gosh. So that on daylight saving time, that's terrible. That's just not a nice thing to do to anybody. Hopefully you're off work tomorrow and can kind of sleep in. Or are we just like pushing through and getting back on track tomorrow? Oh gosh, I'm sorry. That's a terrible Monday. You get to make all the complaints tomorrow. Like you can complain about everything tomorrow. You get a free pass. What's funny is I don't think that Arizona does daylight savings time. I could be wrong. I don't think they do. And so it's just weird to me. Like you live in a state or you live in a place that doesn't do daylight savings time and you get used to kind of, other time zones of people that you communicate with or whatever. And oh, well, they're 2 hours behind me or 2 hours ahead of me. And all of a sudden they just don't change. So it switches like depending on the time of year it is. Oh, that's exciting, Laura. Yes. So we'll have the sleep mask ready for sure. So you can try and get some sleep during that weekend. Oh, the Navajo, right? Yeah, that would make sense. So they set their own kind of whether they're celebrating. Why do I keep saying celebrating like it's a holiday? No one celebrates daylight savings time. We all hate it. Um, no, I hate it. But I am excited the sun is still out and it's like 7:15 and I can still look up and see that it's bright outside. So that does make me that part makes me happy. But I hate the losing an hour of sleep. Also, a little fun fact about me is that I'm a complainer to people in my life that I care about. Like I'll complain about. I'm not a negative person, but if something is annoying me, like they're gonna hear about it. So daylight savings time, they're gonna hear how much I hate daylight savings time. Are you going anywhere fun, Regina? Hopefully, you get to travel somewhere fun. And I do know, like when you go to anyone who needs to go back and rewatch this, it will be the link that I had posted in the group. I've since learned the link kind of dies after the live is over, so it won't actually like send you to that video. But if you go to just my channel here and click on videos and playlists, it'll pop up there too, so you can catch out. Wait, Regina, you're going to Indiana or are you going to the beach? 'Cause I wouldn't say Indiana isn't all that fun. I'm in Ohio, so I feel like I can say that, but Indiana isn't all that fun. Ohio isn't all that fun either. All right, so we're over halfway through on the background, though. Oh, the Florida Keys. Okay, so much better than Indiana. So much better. So that's fun. I am jealous of that. I would not be very jealous of Indiana. No offense to Indianans out there. I think you're lovely. I just don't have anything I want to do in your state. So you just have to get to the first week of daylight savings time and then you get to go to the beaches. So just got to push through this week. And you can see, I don't know if you can tell on camera, if you can tell kind of how this fabric is kind of getting pushed up in different spots. And that's okay. It's not going to affect anything when we're done, but that just shows you kind of how dense patches are. So when you're using a lighter material or not a stabilizer, like it gets all stretched and distorted. And that's probably the biggest issues that I see people having problem with patches is it's a stabilization issue or it's using not dense enough materials to do it. And like I said, if you have a way to do patches that works for you with materials, don't change that. I'm not suggesting that you have to fix what's working for you. But if you are having issues, it's worth considering trying a different stabilizer, different material for them. Nope, you're gonna be taking vitamin C all week, right? Like chugging vitamin C, get some airborne. when we went on a cruise the year before last, and we did Disney and we did a cruise, kind of like in a week time. We did like a short cruise and like Disney before and after for a couple of days. And it was summer, and so I did not wear a mask on the plane or in the airport, which was the first time I hadn't done that in forever. I don't know. I got lazy, complacent, and I ended up getting COVID. I had it, I think, like a couple days before the end of our trip. I didn't realize it. I thought I was just like getting a cold. I came back on COVID. Luckily, it was okay for me, but I was so annoyed. Like the last 2 days of my vacation, like I was like, why am I so tired? Everything hurts. So yeah, wash your hands, mask up, stay away from icky children because children are icky. I can say that because I have kids. They are icky. Love them, but they're icky. Yeah, it took me until 2024 to get COVID for the first time, and it was because I'm gonna blame Orlando Airport because I'm convinced Orlando Airport is like it's like my ninth circle of hell. I hate that airport so much. It smells like deli meat and feet, and it's so crowded all the time. So I'm gonna blame. I feel like that's fair for me to complain about the Orlando Airport. If you've been to the Orlando Airport, I think you know what I'm talking about. It's just so many people in such a small place. Yeah, see, I haven't been to the Vegas airport, so I can't speak on that one. I mean, I've been to a lot of the airports on like the East Coast, but I haven't really been out west. The only place I was out west that I flown into was San Diego, and that airport didn't bother me. Um, but like I'll take O'Hare. I will take Atlanta. I will take um, Dulles, which I didn't like very much either. LaGuardia. Yeah, I'll take all of those over MCO in Orlando. Oh, I bet after the cheerleading. Oh, it's bad enough without like a bunch of like children and teenagers running around screaming. So I can say I've been lucky that I haven't been down there during like an expo or a cheer weekend. We were down there last time. I think there was some type of like it was some type of like competition weekend, but I want to say it was like band or something. And I didn't notice for the band. I didn't really notice much of a difference, but I think you might have just missed kind of the people coming in and out too. My husband's been to Vegas, so I should ask him what he thinks of if he thinks the airport's better or worse in Orlando. We're almost done. This is the longest part, and the rest of the steps will only take a few minutes each. So we've made it this far. The longest part, and me just blathering on for the last 20 minutes. I think Irish dancing is so cool. I can't dance. I can't even do the hokey pokey, but I think it's really cool. Are they just out of Vegas? Yeah, I guess after a rough weekend in Vegas, what you gonna do? And also, since I'm a complainer, I can't stand Florida tap water. Why does it taste so bad? And so you get to the airport and you try to refill your water bottle up, and it's warm and it tastes. That's also probably influencing my hatred for the Orlando airport. They do adult classes, but I literally cannot. I can't even do the hokey pokey. I am so rhythmically challenged. It's almost comical. It's just, yeah, it's just not a skill that I possess. My daughter does dance, and I think it's amazing, but I can't. I would embarrass myself so bad. My skills lie elsewhere. All right, so we're changing to the color for the cactus body. This will be much quicker. And then after I do these next, the fill for the cactus and for the pot, I'm going to slow my machine speed back down again. I think it's crazy. I've never been to Vegas, not once. Gambling was not really my thing. I'm not very good at it, first of all. And I don't know, crowds, I kind of get overwhelmed in big crowds sometimes. So it's like so much stimulation happening there. So I don't know, but maybe it would be fun just to go to say I've been. I just haven't. Vegas is terrible. Okay. Like, I don't know. There's just nothing about it that necessarily appeals to things that I enjoy doing. We tried, like, there's like some casinos here. And we went like one time and took like 100 bucks each. And I think it took us like 20 minutes to lose 100 bucks. And I was like, well, okay, that's it. That was fun. We're done. And that was my gambling experience. Yeah, I mean, if I went and like looked for things besides the casinos, like I might have a good time. But I'm not saying like I would hate the casino. It's just not something I don't think I want to travel just to go to a casino, if that makes sense. Oh, yeah, Orlando. And then when we do go to Orlando, we typically just it's just because if we go to Disney, that's where we are. And so once we get like to our hotel, like we don't have to worry about the rest of it. Although one time we stayed in a resort that wasn't in Disney, and we rented a car, and we had to go to the Walmart there, right in Orlando by the parks, and I felt like I was in the Hunger Games just going to Walmart. Like it was intense. There were so many people. You know, it was like 10 o'clock on a Monday or something. I was like, why is everyone here at 10 o'clock on a Monday buying groceries? But that was, yeah, so I'm in Cincinnati, and I've always kind of grown up in the suburbs of Cincinnati. I've always lived in the suburbs. But I grew up like kind of on the very far suburbs, like kind of out in the country a little bit, about 45 minutes or so from Cincinnati proper. And so for me, like I'm just not much of a city person, and I don't big crowds. Like I can handle it somewhere. I'm not going to like freak out or whatever, but like it's just not something that I seek out or really want to be in too much. I like more laid back kind of things. I mean, but I will go to Disney World, and there's always crowds there, and I'm fine with that. It's like my one exception, probably. I do love Disney World, though. I think this year we're gonna try and do like a low key vacation and just go somewhere we haven't been. So we're like trying to decide that. All right, so now we've got like a little kind of shadow stitching that's gonna be on the cactus. So I didn't even pull my color. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna like reach across the whole camera just to pull my thread color. I want to go a little bit darker than that, I think. If I was a way more organized person, I would have pulled all these threads out before, but I was up cooking dinner until like 6:45, and then I ran down to get the sun, so I did not pull out thread colors. Oh yeah, spring break in Orlando. Yes, that would be busy. But I think we were talking about like I've actually never been to. We're in Ohio. We've never been up to Lake Michigan. So we're talking about that. Just going for kind of a more low key. Like we've done cruises the last couple of years, cruises or Disney. And I think we wanted something a little more low key this year. I am actually going to jump ahead just one step because I do I hate this color for the pot? Do I hate it? We're going to go with it. I'm going to jump ahead and I'm going to stitch the fill for the pot because then after that, I'm going to turn my machine speed down before I get to the satins. So this is, I'm kind of doing some of the steps out of order. So I'm just going to jump down to the pot. So we're in Cincinnati. So like the closest lake, I don't even know honestly. Like when there's Lake Erie, that's like north of Ohio, which I've been up in that area, but never to the lake. Not a Cleveland fan. I've shown horses there a few times. I don't know. It's not for me. Um, but then there's Lake Michigan, and I'm so bad with geography. I'm not even sure where Lake Ontario is. I think it's like east a little bit from us, northeast, but I'm so bad with that. I could be totally wrong. Like our last couple years of vacations have been pretty like, I don't know. One, I feel like we just spent too much money doing it, and it was fun, but I like something a little more low key. And then when you do spend money on a vacation, I think you, at least for me, I feel guilty about like doing more relaxing things because you spent all this money to do things. So obviously you should be doing getting your money's worth. So I'm like, I just like this year to do something a little more low key and not feel like pressured to be like doing things and being out and about. Like we went to a few years ago, we went to Charleston, Virginia, and that was actually a really cool city. I really enjoyed it there. We happened upon like a winery that had a polo match going on, which was, I felt like I was in Pretty Woman. It was pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to do the shading on the pot. I don't know what color. I think I'm going to go a little darker. Sorry, I'm totally reaching across here and throwing thread off my rack here. All right, I'm going to do the shading here, and then I'm going to go back up and do the satin around the cactus, and then turn my machine back down. And sometimes you'll see, like with the Badge Master and stuff on this, you'll start to get where you'll have a little bit of dust from all that stitching. Just, I usually will just brush it down when I'm done. It's not going to affect anything here. I mean, and that's the thing. Like when you've got your kids doing like competitive things, whether it's sports, dance, whatever, I feel like you kind of almost in some ways have to tie your vacations because they're always doing stuff. And I don't know if fortunate's the right word. I feel like I'm fortunate. My kids are not like super like they play sports. Well, my oldest is done. He's retired from sports, as he says. They just do like rec league stuff and just enjoy it that way. So I haven't had to deal with some of like the intense like travel things, which for me I feel like is kind of a blessing. So I'm not. I don't know, man. It just seems stressful, but it's also fun and exciting too. So it gives you something to look forward to. But my kids are not. They're never going to watch this. My kids have a lot of wonderful skills. They're wonderful people. Love them. Big hearts. They're not athletes, and that's okay. I'm not either. So, like my youngest for sports, just she's in it for a good time, not a long time. She'll play probably for a couple more years with her friends, and I think she'll probably. The one thing I think she'll continue on with is dance. I do see that, but she doesn't do like super competitive dancing either. So, or else I'd my vacation too if I had to travel. Like Dublin, Ireland, Maura, or like Dublin, Ohio. Okay, so they have bar cards at the dance things because that might change. Okay, Ireland. Okay, because I'm like, I mean, I don't know if I'd count Dublin, Ohio as like a vacation. It's not really much there, but Dublin, Ireland would be super cool. And see, I think I could be convinced to maybe like be more invested in like if my kids want to do travel stuff or like if I knew there was a bar card involved. I mean, shoot, with like youth rec sports, like my gosh, they frown on anyone like bringing anything in from the outside, and they never have like you can go to a baseball game, a baseball tournament there for like hours and hours, and they don't have like any beer or anything. Which I get, it's for kids, but like the parents are there all day, sitting outside in the middle of summer. Oh, I said I just wanted to turn that down, and I didn't turn it down, did I? I was just chatting away, not turning it down. I'm turning it down now. My daughter used to do. She used to do like 4 and 5 different dances every year, and she's just 10. But this year she decided she only wanted to do one dance, like, and she does flag. Um, so like she dropped everything else. I mean, she's done palm, she's done clogging, ballet, tap, but she decided she's just gonna stick with flag because she wants to do color guard later. And I'm like, all right, girl, get it. Shadow. Now we're on, since we're kind of out of order, we are back now to the outline for the pot. Maura, you're kind of selling me on this Irish dancing. This sounds fun. I think I could dig that. So growing up, I we had horses and I showed horses, and I did that with the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association in college as well. And so like that was kind of my thing. But my kids have had zero interest in horses. And my mare passed away in 2019, and I haven't ridden since then. And I think life's too busy for me now to even, I don't have that kind of time commitment to deal with what everything goes into having a horse. But I think my mom kind of put up a lot of that with me growing up, and my sister traveling and doing things for horse shows. I love that, Maura. See, that sounds like that sounds super fun. No, horses are not cheap, and most of my life, my mom paid for all that stuff, so I didn't really pay for much of it. But now, obviously, like it's not really a thing. And even my mare, like I wasn't really showing her, and she was on my mom's property, so I didn't have to. She kind of still was paying for everything. But if I get a horse now, like obviously, I'm not going to put that on her, so it would be all me, and it's just too much of a time commitment too. In addition to the money, and then horses are regularly just trying to die out there every day of the week, so you got to have a lot of money put aside for vet bills and stress. I know the color guard does travel. I know. Well, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate. So there's like a small dance program here, and one of the dance instructors has been there for forever. She does their entire flag program, but she also does the flag program for the high school as well for color guard, and like they're really good at the high school level, so they do travel and do a lot of competitions and things. So yeah, that might be in my future. And they were actually just at Disney. not too long ago for something. All right, we're on the cheeks. And then after we get the cheeks done and the face and the needles, then we just have to do our lettering and then we're good to go. Almost there. I actually, yeah, if you go on Amazon, if you order on Amazon, I know So For Less has it too. If you look up Poly, P-O-L-Y, Patch Twirl, that's the brand. I don't know if that's even the brand, but that's the one that I end up using because I never had much luck finding the patch twill in stores. The patch twill is a little reinforced on the back versus just like kind of soft, like regular twill. And I got a couple little threads here that I want to trim. I just don't want them getting stuck under anything. I like to kind of trim up jumps and things and little loose threads as I go. All right, so we are on black for the face, and there's going to be so many jumps. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, when you have areas separated, like areas that are stitched, there's only so much you can do to eliminate jumps. Like I could set a tie off, but that some machines won't even read that. To tie it off, it really just depends on your machine too. So I do apologize, but I thought this would be good kind of to demonstrate how to cut those small jump stitches too. Yeah, so I will post, let me go off here for a second on my, and I will find the poly patch twill so you can, let's see. Also, I've also ordered, if you're familiar with All Stitch Embroidery, it's where I get a lot of stabilizer from. Um, they actually also have patch twill that I have ordered, and I've had good success with it as well. I don't have any complaints. Of course, now this is unavailable on Amazon, but really, all right, poly patch twill. Let's go. Amazon, of course, is out. I don't know. Be athletic. That's weird. Okay. I'm going to pop a link in here because this is what I use. This brand, but this isn't the only patch twill. And I've actually never ordered from this particular shop, but this is the brand that I use. Oh my gosh. What is happening? There we go. Paste. Oh gosh. It's not letting me. You know, sometimes I swear I feel like I'm not the most tech savvy person at all. Delete. Okay, well, it doesn't want to let me post anything in here. I don't understand. Delete. Oh, for the love. I think my link is too long here for me to want to put it in the chat, which is annoying. But what I will do is I'll put it in the description once we're done too. All right, so got a lot of little jumps to cut. So a couple things. When you've got small areas that you need to cut jumps in is a seam ripper. And I have these little tools called side hoppers that I like a lot. These are great for getting into really small areas to trim things up. But sometimes, even on that, I need a seam ripper. So, like, honestly, between the eyes here, that's going to be hard. Just kind of going gently with your seam ripper. You don't want to go just in that top layer of thread. You don't want to go and cut the layers underneath, but just stick your seam ripper in there and just pop that out. Done. Like I said, just go slow, just kind of ease it in there so you're not trimming the thread underneath. Done. So that's what happens. And especially if you've got some areas of the letters and the text is really close together, sometimes they can be kind of hard to snip. So just don't be afraid to grab your seam ripper. Just be gentle with it. In fact, I will wait until I'm at the table with a little better light to get the rest of those, but I did want to show you there. And like I said, these little tools, I got these on Amazon. They're like $16. I have a bunch of these and I love these. All right, so we are on to the text portion. I'm going to do like a hot pink. I use Embrilliance for my designs. I played around on my old computers. I played around with Hatch a little bit, but I have just Macs now, and Embrilliance is compatible with Macs and Hatch is not. Unless I like go through the hassle of like doing like the side loaning and having something else like, and that's just not something I'm going to be doing. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to add the links and it's being stupid. It doesn't want to let me do it. I'm clicking send and it's not letting me send. So what I'll do, I don't know why it's not letting me. But what I'll do is I will put it in the description when we're done here with this when I load it because it's not letting me add it in the comments. I do have, yeah, I don't know because everyone else is commenting and I'm doing the video and it's not letting me. Maybe I need to follow myself because I know up until I get to like, I think 1,000 subscribers or something, I don't think you can comment unless like you're a subscriber. Like, do I need to subscribe to my own channel to make a comment? That's crazy work. Oh, you know what? It's because the link was too long. That's why. That's a half a link. Don't click on that I just posted. Let me see if I can find a shorter link. That's the issue. My link was just entirely too long. I will take a pic. Here's what. Let me see if this link is maybe shorter. Just to show you the brand that I use is all. You can at least do All Stitch, I bet too. I bet All Stitch will hopefully have a short. Well, let's see if this link. So I've used this on All Stitch as well. Their Poly Patch 12, and it's been great. So yeah, I'll add it in the description of the video for sure when I'm done. Well, let me Okay, let me send that one. So that's another place you can get the patch 12. They only have it in a couple colors though, which is fine if you're gonna stitch the whole background fill out. And I've used it, no issues. I think I did like a price comparison, and I don't think it was necessarily any cheaper than the other stuff that I get. I think that's probably why I didn't continue to buy it. But it honestly works just as good. And the Badge Master that I use is actually from All Stitch as well. They have their own kind of version, and it's much cheaper than buying the actual like whoever the original manufacturer was of Badge Master. I want to say it was like Oklahoma Embroidery, the OSED. Am I thinking Oklahoma? I don't remember, but they sell supplies, and I think they originally had Badge Master, or maybe it was even Pellon. I'm not sure, but they have their own version at All Stitch, and honestly, it works just as well, and it's so much cheaper. And you can buy it in sheets if you wanted to kind of try it and go all the way up to like a huge 50-yard roll. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Regina, if you've got the stuff from All Stitch, is just fine. And I actually use the Badge Master. I like using it on my stuffies too. So not to worry so much about like cutting the cutaway out of everything. The tearaway is not going to be supportive enough for some of the areas on some stuffies. And I don't want to. And the nice thing about this, I'll show you when done, is you can kind of peel this away. So that's why I use it for my stuffies. All right. On our last line of text here, I'm going to go back to the green. And what I have noticed too is like after I finish the live part, there's like a delay with it actually posting onto my channel. Oh, I don't like that green for the lettering. No, here we are. I made a bad choice. I do that a lot sometimes. But a lot of times it takes a while once the live is finished to actually upload to the channel. I don't know why. Like I have to publish it and then it takes a while to kind of process. So sometimes like you can't come immediately back. Like once it's finished, it's got to upload it and do whatever magical things it does on the internet. Okay, maybe I don't hate the green for lettering. I thought I did for a second. So after you finish this text, there's a step that you can use if you would like to add a back to your patch. Like if you want to put something down and you want to cover this up, um, totally up to you. It's your preference. Um, I personally don't, because who's looking at the back of patches? Also, I don't make the sell, but the step is there nonetheless that you can use that if you would like to. But what I do like to do is I really like my satin stitches to be really reinforced. They're nice and smooth. So what I will do is I will add kind of a scrap of Badge Master on the back of my hoop right before I run that satin step, and I've got a loose black thread that I'm afraid is going to get stuck under a stitch. Um, I find that it kind of makes it a smoother satin. That's just me. So I'll be doing that for this as well. They're so close now. Like patches are the most hands off kind of design to do, but I feel like they take so long to stitch. Sleep masks are so much faster. Even when we get to, I think we have notebook covers coming up too. And notebook covers are probably my least favorite thing to stitch, only because like there's just so many steps. And it's not like it's not difficult. It's just I feel like there's so much stopping and going with notebook covers. It's just my preference. They're not my favorite thing to stitch. We all have favorite things to stitch, right? But I do like stitching patches up a lot. And I like random in the hoop projects too, like fobs, just different ones that I have, plant markers. Yeah, Maura, you totally got patches. I promise they're so much easier than people make them out to be. They just seem really intimidating because they're so dense, but with the right materials, they're like one of the easiest in the hoop projects to do. And then I thought patches are so versatile too. Like you can put them on a beanie, you can put them on a tote bag, you can even like glue a magnet to the back of them if you want it to, and pop it on your fridge. You can sew them on things. You can use things to iron on. All right. So we are at the second to last step. So this would be if you would like to add a backing, this is where you're going to do that. I'm not going to add a backing, but I am going to add some more stabilizer on the back. But what I do like to do, my 4x4 is always so stiff in here. I do like to turn it over and I like to kind of just trim up any loose stitches that I see on the back, just so they don't get like wrapped up in the satin or start peeking out on you. And then like you really have a hard time kind of cutting them away either later. So I like to just do a quick little trim up and get those loosey goosey threads out of the way now. Not perfect, but just enough that we don't have like these long pieces that are going to come underneath and get trapped to try and cut them out later. All right, what I am going to do is I've got a piece of Badge Master. And I'm just going to stick that in the back because, like I said, I feel like that just gives me a smoother satin stitching at the end. That's just my preference. It's not necessary. I didn't do it for years. Um, but I do use the Badge Master for my stuffies. So I honestly have so much excess Badge Master from stuffies that like I have a little pile I keep to the side that are perfect for patches because it's like the excess that I had from the stuffies. And you can see how it's kind of like raised up and because it's just patches are just so dense. This will all stitched out. We'll trim it away. You won't really notice it, but you can kind of see it here. So imagine if that was like a super thin piece of material or like felt, like that's why it kind of gets really kind of wonky. We are doing stuffies. Yeah, we'll have stuffies. I think stuffies are near the end of our session, but I'm almost positive we have stuffies this round. All right. And sometimes outline kind of shifts with it pulling a little bit. It's totally fine because your satin is going to be super wide on this. It's going to cover anything off. Don't panic if it's like slightly off. Sometimes it's just a compensation, kind of gets pulled this way. It's fine because we have a really wide satin to go over, but we're going to trim away our excess material here on the front. If you added material on the back, go ahead and trim that away now too, just like our appliques we did for our second week. I'm just going to trim that away. And the satin is nice and wide and forgiving, so don't stress too much. Just get close to your stitches. You're going to be just fine. So for kind of reference, most of my appliques, the ones that we've already done for skill builders, the width of that satin was about, I either do 3.5 or I do 4 millimeters wide. On my satins for appliques, for patches, I do 5.5 or 6. So you have plenty of room, wiggle room on this if you're not perfectly straight. I will go and just kind of trim up some of those looser areas, but it's a lot more forgiving than your standard applique for kind of how close you cut. All right, that's good enough for me. All right, so this on, I'm gonna go to, I'm gonna do, I think that hot pink for my satin. And again, I do have my machine speed turned down for my stitching. The biggest, you'll notice the biggest improvement on the quality of the satins, you just slow your machine down on the patches. Oh, I see one little piece of fuzz up there. That's gonna bother me. Where'd you go? There you are. I saw it in the light and then I didn't see it again. Of course, I said it was good and then I just get paranoid and start trimming more. All right, last step. And you'll see how wide the satin is for patches too. So I don't like, okay, I have tried Heat and Bond Ultra. I've not tried Wonder Under, but I have found this product from All Stitch that I actually don't hate for ironing on. So I think, have I packed it up already? So All Stitch has a product, I will find the link, that is kind of like their version of Heat and Bond. So it's like a two-sided fusible situation, like an adhesive. And I actually like that a lot more than the Wonder Under, or not Wonder Under, I'm sorry, the Heat and Bond Ultra. Let me go and find that link for All Stitch. Let's see. Typing and toppings. Let's see. Fuse and Bond. Oh, let me, I'll see if it'll let me copy this in here. It's called Fuse and Bond from All Stitch, but the link might be like 15 pages long again where it doesn't want to let me. Aha, there it is. Maybe. Okay. I have used this and I do like it for the adhesive. I find that like the way this adhesive kind of works. So if you use Heat and Bond, it's just like a film, right? And it gets tacky, gets sticky on both sides. This Fuse and Bond almost like kind of melts a little bit. So like I feel like it gives a little better adhesion. Like once you use the heat and put it on, it's a little messy. But that's been my preference over Heat and Bond. And I actually have a tote that I just started like using patches too. Because typically I sew patches on, but I also have an industrial sewing machine. So it's a lot easier for me to do that than if you have a domestic machine or you don't sew. But I do like that Fuse and Bond product over the Heat and Bond. I think it's cheaper too. Because I got the 5-inch wide roll and it's like, I don't know, 10 yards or something. And it was cheap. And I've had that same roll for forever. Let's see how pretty the satin is now. I don't have any skip stitches. It's all nice and smooth and even. So that's why I really like the Badge Master and slowing my machine down. And what's so I have refused this entire time to get a multi-needle machine, only because like I want to make sure that all my designs can be made on a flatbed machine so that they're accessible to everybody. And the only thing I regret about having a single needle is I don't have a hat hoop. Don't wear a lot of hats. I think they do come with a way to embroider hats on a flatbed single needle, but it just looks really just not like a fun time. That's my one regret is not having a machine I can easily do hats with. I have my industrial machine is a Juki 1181. It's like it's it's not a true walking foot machine. I don't know what they call it exactly. It's like it pretty much functions like a walking foot machine. Um, and I love it. I had an 8700 before the Juki, and I didn't love that machine as much, but I really do love my 1181. It's awesome. That's okay, Ellen. You're here for the grand reveal, and then you can go back and see how it was made. So it's kind of perfect timing then. But I do. If you're looking for an industrial, I would if it's not that much more to get a walking foot machine. I would definitely recommend going for a walking foot over just a regular straight stitch or a non-walking foot industrial because I regretted not getting that to begin with. I struggled with 8700 for a while, and it was nice for some things, but the 8700 that I had was really frustrating because 8700 I got 8700H, which was like their heavier version, and the annoying thing about that was that like I could do some leather and some canvas, but like I couldn't do anything lighter on it. Like if it was anything that was like an uninterfaced material, or it wasn't canvas or it wasn't leather, it would eat it. The 1181s can do a lot kind of more variety. All right, so here is where we're at with this. I do have some jumps to clean up. So let me find my tiny scissors, my little side hoppers. I do love these little guys. And like I said, any area that you feel like you can't get into with these, just grab your seam ripper and just go slow. Sometimes, you'll miss a little bit. It's fine. Just go in, clean those up. Like I said, unfortunately, there's only so much I can do on my end to reduce jumps between areas. Sometimes, like just setting them as a tie off will help you not have those, but also it depends if your machine reads that. So, unfortunately, it just is what it is sometimes. And especially if the pathing, and that's the crazy thing with some machines. So, some machines, depending on how close those objects are to each other, they will do it like one stitch and not cut. Other machines, you can set how far away and how long you want it to, the thread to be when you cut between jumps. But not every machine has all those features. All right, I think. Oh, I got one little more in here. Did I get them all? Oh, I got one more. Might need my seam ripper for that one. Did I get it? Aha, there we go. All right, so we are here. And the nice thing, this is a side hopper and got it on Amazon. I love these things. The thing is they come in fun colors, but when you order on Amazon, you can't pick the color. And I've ordered so many because I lose them all the time and I keep getting the green ones. Maybe one day when I order, I'll actually get a more fun color than Christmas tree green. All right, pop that out. And the nice thing about Badge Master because it just pulls away, just like a tearaway would. You could soak it off if you really wanted to, but this works. And then I have what I do like to do. My lighter is upstairs. So we're lighting candles. I don't like to. So this is set to tie. This is a tie off right here where this is like a little loopy thread here. We'll cut this off. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you, I can't even see what I'm doing here. Let me cut this. I do not want you to cut the start and stop point all the way down. What I want you to do is I want you to trim it a little bit. And then I want you to grab a lighter if you have it. And then just real quick, kind of hit it with for a second and just go around and just kind of make sure that you've got any loose pieces, any loose threads, things like that will kind of get burned off. It's just a real quick 1 second thing. Of course, my lighter's not down here, so I can't show you that right now. But super quick. And then again, you could add, if you wanted to do heat and bond adhesive on the back, you can pull this, obviously the Badge Master off the back too. But this is it. This is a 3-inch size. 3 inch is my favorite size. They're great for hats, beanies, putting on tote bags. Like I said, you can even just put a magnet and put on your fridge too. They're just fun. Put them on shirts, put them on sweatshirts. Everybody loves patches. So I do love making them. I hope this was helpful. They're really, I promise you, they're not hard. They just seem intimidating, but they're really not. We have it nice and smooth. Our satin's nice and smooth. Obviously, I'll need to pull off this Badge Master from the back and clean up those threads, but that's it. So our little cute little cactus. So next week is sleep mask. So planning for same time, same place next week, unless if that changes, I will for sure let you know. I'll have that scheduled midweek with the link up so you can be here for that. And I'll have, I know you have the design already, so I'll have, like, we're a week behind on the lives. We're doing the designs on time. So I forget what design I'm sending you this week. I forget what's after sleep masks, but our live will be with the sleep masks. And another fab week. You get caught up on sleep tonight. Regina, I hope you get some sleep tonight after all that. And I will see you guys back here next Sunday. Thanks for joining me. All right. Bye, everyone.